What's going on, guys? We're going to be working on my off-road 240 once again. If you haven't seen the last video where we were at the dyno and we were experiencing some issues, definitely check that video out. I'll have it up here. Watch that one first and then come back to this one. So here's the 240. What we're going to do right now is compression test the motor and see what we get. I'd like to test it with two different compression testers and compare the two. There's ash falling on the car right now because there's a nearby canyon that's on fire. That's crazy. I haven't seen ash in so long. For some reason, we made like 306 to the wheel on the same tune with a different turbo manifold but a higher diff ratio. We went from the stock 408 to a 436, so we should have gotten a little bit more horsepower. We should have been like 340 somewhere in there, but we were getting 306 roughly, and when we tuned it last we got like 328 or 327. So for some reason there was a big power loss, and I have two theories. One, we'll see what the compression test tells us, and that if the compression really is getting low, then that's definitely part of it. Another one is, for some reason the stupid e-brake was holding the wheels back. The calipers were clamped onto the rotors. It was super hard to spin by hand, and I adjusted the e-brake and I got it to where we couldn't get it any looser and it was still clamping a little bit. I think something's up with my whole e-brake cable assembly, so if I have time tonight then I'll take a look at that, but I want to get the compression test done first. But I do think that was holding us back. Okay, so first things first, we just have to pull the cover off, pull all the plugs, and then we can get the compression tester. So far I have half of them out. We have 6, 5, and 4, and what I noticed is number 4 has cracked ceramic. That line there, that's a crack, like I could fit my fingernail in it, so this one is bad. So we'll get rid of that. We got a new one, we already got it gapped. And on the dyno we noticed that 5 and 6 had cracked ceramics too, so now I've got 3 cylinders that had cracked ceramics on their spark plugs. So we got all 6 out. It's going from 1 to 6, and they all look good now. They're all gapped correctly. They're gapped to right here, 0.030, and they're all set up correctly, so everything should be good. I was hearing a slight misfire at idle, so I'm pretty sure that's what it was the cracked ceramic on number 4. But now we can bring our compression tester and see what she makes. So I just did the compression test for all 6. I'll put the numbers up right here so you can take a look at them. They were reading higher than the last compression test that I did, which is good. However, they're still reading low than the initial compression test when I got the motor. So I'm going to get another tester and see if the results that I get line up with this tester or the previous tester. Okay, so we've got our second tester. This is from an AutoZone. Let's see what she does. Okay, these definitely read low. Cylinder 1, that's like 130. We'll say 130. We did 3 runs for both, and we were getting the same number, 130. So from here on out, I won't be using AutoZone compression testers. I don't know why it's reading so low, but it's not right. So I think I figured out how the 160 number came about. So when I bought this motor, I bought it from JD Move, California. I showed up and they compression tested it in front of me. At first it was reading low. I don't remember what the numbers were, but they added a little bit of oil into the spark plug hole and that brought it up to 160. So when I just did that and added a little bit of oil to the cylinder number 1, we got 155. But basically what that means is that it's got worn rings, which, I mean, it's a 30-year-old motor, so it makes sense, but I'm just trying to eliminate variables as to why we were making 20 horsepower less at the dyno. I believe it's going to be an issue with the rear brakes. Okay, so I just threw everything back together. Fortunately tonight I won't be able to look at the brakes. It's getting kind of late, so I'll have to do that another day. It's just odd that the two testers were giving different readings when there was no oil added. But what was nice is that they were all consistent as far as the cylinders all being pretty even. So I'm going to say that the motor is still relatively healthy. Could be better, but relatively healthy. I would like to take this time to say thank you to today's video sponsor, Mommy and Daddy. Mommy and Daddy have been with this channel since the beginning, and without them, none of these builds would have been possible. Click the link in the description to get started with Mommy and Daddy today and watch as your builds come to life. Why waste your time that you can never get back, when Mommy and Daddy have your back? So today we're going to be tackling the rear caliper issue. So with that being said, let's jack the car up. I get to use my nice fancy jack point. Thank you, Devin. Thank you for being away from your car for 20 minutes so I can steal your bash bar. So look at how ridiculous this is. Right now, e-brake fully down. This caliper is locked. For some reason this caliper is clamped on and I can't move this by hand. So what I'm going to do is disconnect the e-brake cable from this caliper and see if that releases it. If it doesn't, then I'm going to take the caliper off. Okay, the cable for the e-brake is off. It's right here and it's still stuck. So what I'm going to do is pop the bleeder valve and try to move the caliper to try and relieve some pressure. It's interesting because the hydro is all the way forward, so it might be a caliper issue. So I'll just pop the bleeder valve and see if I can get it to release. So what I'm going to do is take the caliper off and see maybe this pin being bent. That's definitely an issue. That might be what's causing it. But we'll take the caliper off and see. So here's the plan. Here's that messed up bracket thing for the brake pad. We're going to ditch that. We're going to use this one. I have a spare set of calipers that came with 5-lug hubs and the rest of basically the entire rear end for an S14. Because I do want to go 5-lug. I just don't have any wheels, so we're going to stay 4-lug. But with that being said, we're going to steal this from that caliper. Throw that on there. I'm going to go pick up new brake pads as well as going to pick up new rotors for the rear because this is all bad. You can see that line going across there. That's all bad. And these rotors came with the car and I don't know how old they are honestly, so let's just get new rotors. But right now we have the e-brake off and we have both calipers off and I can now spin it freely, which is great. This side didn't look too bad. However, it's still unacceptable. We're going to be replacing this one as well. But this caliper actually wasn't really clamped on. So it appeared that this side was functioning pretty normal and the other side, that clip somehow got wedged behind the brake pad and that was pushing it forward. So that's why it was clamping on the rotor. But we're going to fix that. So now we got our nice fancy O'Reilly's rotor. Get rid of the old one and I just cleaned it with brake cleaner both sides because there's usually residue on the brakes. So you're supposed to clean them once you get them. So I changed the rotors on both sides. I can now spin the tire freely. The e-brake is still hooked up. I was going to take it out, but I think I'm going to wait till I go 5-lug and just ditch it then. So for now, we still have the stock e-brake. So that fixed our brake issue. That little clip getting wedged behind the pad just totally ruined everything. Thankfully though, that's all it was. It wasn't the caliper issue because I would have to get a new caliper. But I could probably use one of the other calipers I have that came with the 5-lug swap, so I think when I do go 5-lug, I'll probably get Z32 brakes. If I haven't already upgraded the Skyline brakes, then I'll just swap the Skyline brakes over because they're Z32. But yeah, so now all we're waiting on is ECU Master to get back to Chris, and once they figure out what the issue is with the E85 tune, if you didn't watch that video, go check it out. It was the last dyno video. The number it made is good, but it's lower than what it should have because we ran into a few issues, so. But anyways, it's just a waiting game now. Everything on my end is all good to go, so the car's ready. I shouldn't have to change anything before we do the next dyno. Yeah, so stay tuned for that video, but thank you so much for watching. See you guys next time. Peace.